Okay, so I figured I would redo a video here, mainly because the other ones that I have up right now have old information and stuff like that in them. There's been new discoveries and updates and things like that. Obviously, I still have pile back there, sweeps around, lots of larger ones down in there. I should probably wait till this evening to do this, but the light kind of, it's not spray painted dots or anything on there, it's just light. I got over 7,000 pieces at this point that are from over a dozen different subclasses. Come from this one point. Now these are the special things here that I've never seen before in my life, but here they are. And these are tektites made out of coquina fossils. These fossils were laid down during the end of the Precambrian area, when this part of the U.S., well, basically split right up the middle, was covered by an inland sea that they called the Southeastern Seaway, or the Sewanee Straits. I got another piece inside that's got some really cool fusion crust on it. But this thing is actually a comet. Kind of hit like a shotgun blast, it kind of fell apart. But it hit the sea here, and with enough energy and force, and was large enough, because you're gonna see more than this. I've got 2 times more than this right here. This is just what's laying out here, which I need to get inside, but I just don't have enough room to put it all in there right now. Which we're gonna go in there in a second so you can see what's in there. This was between 50 and 60 million years ago. It's kind of, I know it's kind of like finding a family of unicorns that live with Santa Claus, and they're sex trafficking underwear gnomes out the back. I understand that. I understand what this sounds like that it is, but I mean, it is what it is. I can't help it. It's not my fault. Here's some more. All down. That one on the end is online right now. Stuff up there. Some in here. And I've been looking for the rest of this chain of pieces that have this burn hole all the way through the center. I've got like 7 or 8 of them. 2 of the pieces were an end point to that burn hole that were found 6 miles apart. And all down in there. All down in there. Now I've got a lot of stuff, needless to say. Over 7,000 pieces. And I just kind of quit counting that at that point, right then that day. So I'm going to pause you until I get inside, and we'll continue this conversation. And I have a bucket of them here by the door. These are ones that are transitioning to go inside for sale. Just haven't made it there yet. Alright, on with the voyage. Okay, back again. There's some of the newer ones I brought inside. I like this piece here. These lights are almost too bright in here to get a full view of the coloration and everything. But these are some really interesting pieces that I found this go around on my last outing. Yeah. Real interesting pieces. This one I like. It's got some really good regular morse on it. And I just put one online. Let's see. I just put this guy online right here. it's oriented this way. This was the nose, this was the tail. It has triple layer rollover on the back, triple tiered. I thought that was really, really cool. And it's got blowholes all the way through this thing. You can see some light down through there. But when I set it to the nose up, you can see what it did all the way along the sides, down that side. And it still has some fusion crust along in here. But, you know, we're talking a 50 to 60 million year old impact, so it still has some fusion crust on the bottom. You can see the darkness underneath the clay color. And it's been in the dirt for a minute, so this is a rather interesting piece. I like it a lot. I did the best I could to clean it up without doing anything other than just using a brush, toothbrush, paint brushes, air, compressed air, and that was about it. Whoever gets this beauty can do whatever they want to with it from that point. But it's up there right now for 15 grand or best offer. Right now I'm just trying to get them some money coming in that I can actually get some professional testing done. I do have my own spectrometer now. I do. There she is. And it works pretty well. It actually works pretty good. Show you. I'll pull up one of my. Let's see. Oh, there's one of them right there. That's actually to the big one. I took a top half and a bottom half, and that's the bottom half, I believe. If anybody recognizes that signature. And is that the? No, that's not the top half. That's the top half. All those pieces right there are the only ones that I have online, and I've got almost 40 pieces online. These are going online. Most of the time, I've found the best way to clean these things is actually to you just brush them off best you can with a coarse bristle brush, and honestly, you just let it sit. And it don't even need to sit for very long, a few hours, and that next layer of dirt or dust that's on it will just kind of fluff up and loosen on its own, and then you can brush that away. That's the easiest way that I've found to do as little damage to the natural patina and the fusion crust as you possibly can. The next best method that I have found is using alcohol. We're talking 90+% alcohol. Let's see. This is one that was cleaned in alcohol. I really like this one. I think it's pretty cool looking, ain't it? Yeah. Ain't it something? Got a few of these. I like this one too. This one's going online. I just want to get it a little bit cleaner because it's got a really nice dark black crust underneath that clay color, and it'd be nice to be able to pull that out. This, I'm not exactly sure what this is. If anybody knows what this is, I would greatly appreciate it. But it's got a good fusion crust on it. I mean, it's not a fossil. I know there's no fossils in this thing. It's just a white powdery, not powdery, but it's real soft. But it's got a good fusion crust on it. I don't know if it was something that was ejected out of the crater and just did what a lot of the other pieces that the fossils did, and just by luck of happenstance they landed back here. And I've got a couple dozen of these things right now, that's a lot of lucky rolls of the dice. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure what this is. I'd love to know. And I know that green stuff is moon stuff. But I don't know. I'd love to know what that is too. This is the piece of coquina that I was telling you guys about outside that's got the awesome fusion crust on it. I mean, look at that. Ain't that some pretty shit? Pardon my language. But how many of you, whoever watches this video, has ever seen this right here? I want to know. Because I don't think it's be very many, if any. You back down. And this one's going up today too. But like I was saying, this is, I mean, there's over a dozen subclasses in this one event here. Got this piece here is going to go up too. The fusion crust on this one is starting to separate from the sublayer. But this is a real interesting piece. I like it because it's got like a tripod stand to it. So it just kind of sits up perfectly. I do need to clean it up a little bit before it goes online. I got to be really super careful with this one because the fusion crust is starting to separate. And that's the last thing I want to do is break it off. I'm just going to try and, you know, remove this deer moss right here without, this one I actually found above ground. But this is coming from the inner ring of a double ring crater, and the area where I'm hunting in has been cut. It's been, you know, cut down by rain and everything else, and it's exposing the layer that these things are on, and they're just washing right out of the hill. There's some more I've got up here. I like that one. That's cool. And a lot of these right here are online already. Underneath here, like this guy here. I know that whoever buys this one right here is going to get one heck of a deal. So it's up there, I think, for right around $1,500, I think. I'm not sure why it hasn't sold yet, because anybody that knows anything about a meteorite should know that, okay, this is something very, very special. And it is. From everything that I've been able to find, it's in an achondrite class, somewhere in the, I'll have to look, I cannot pronounce half of these damn names, guys. I mean, who comes up with these? For real. Let's see. One second. Okay. So far, I'm thinking I've got something along the lines of the, you guys will have to forgive me on this, and don't laugh at me. Alright. A capucolite is what it mostly resembles. I know I've got some carbonaceous stuff. I've got some stuff that looks like some urolites, howardites, diogenites, urocrites. I got some pallasites, sugatites. Enstatite, mesosidrites, some two different traditional chondrites, like this one. It's got chondrules in it. I can see on a side cut. It's pretty cool, but it's only one of like two that I have out of everything else, and there's no irons at all. Um, the only well, I take that back. The only irons that you'll find around here is stuff like this, individual stuff that peppers the earth every day. Nothing special. I do have an interesting thing though. Um, I'd love to know an explanation on this. Set these down right here. Now, school's in session. These two look like the same subclass, same type, same everything. Yes, yes. On the surface, they look identical. You're right. I mean, one's a little bit redder than the other, but here, let me turn this. Just a little bit redder than the other. But I'm pretty sure they're from the same family, same subclass, same family within that subclass, yada 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 yada. Well, this one is not magnetic at all, like period. It reacts to a magnetic field, but on such a small amount, it's negligible. It might as well say it's just, yeah, no. This one, on the other hand, this one will make a magnet dance like a bobblehead. Now, you tell me. Those look pretty close to each other now. So, what do we have going on here? I'd love to know. The only thing I can think of is in the cometary body that this was a part of, and I have a pretty good pieced together theory of evidence and a trail and things like that that point to certain events, and a retired NASA crater researcher that agrees with me. He brought up most of it to start with, and then we had the same conclusion, but my idea was a different path to get to that conclusion than his was, and his made more sense than mine did the more I thought about it, and the more evidence that's popped up since then. We both are pretty much in sole agreement that this is what this is. Is we have a cometary impact of a fragmentary comet that basically has been in the making since Theia broke apart between Mars and Jupiter that gave us our asteroid belt. Somehow, way or another, this comet made it in from the outer solar system and did not lose all of its ices. It made it inside the melt zone for a comet and was somehow shaded the entire approach to Theia. Theia was breaking up at this point, and, well, this little comet that I've aptly named Daisy after my dog, she hunts meteorites. It's cool. She's in the group. She's found 27 of them so far. This sucker was able to get up close to Theia while it was breaking apart and grab up some of its stuff. While it was still in the process of differentiation, and there were some macro-sized diamonds being formed in her mantle at this point. She'd been around, we'll say, probably a few million years or more, maybe more at this particular point in time. Probably somewhere around 50 to 100 million years this planet's been in existence completely. Jupiter moved in from the outer solar system, and the process of differentiation brings up another point, as pointing to this being a comet. There's barely no iron in it. Nothing that's magnetic. Most of the iron sinks to the center. It doesn't matter what scale you're on. On a planetary scale, everything sinks down to the core, and you get a solid iron nickel core with radioactive trace elements mixed in with it. On a solar system scale, everything sinks down to the sun, all the heavy stuff, during the accretion process. Granted, the accretion process never ends really, but its active phase, all that stuff goes down to the center. So you don't have any of that stuff on the outside. Which is why you get a majority of the gas plants that form towards the outer part of the solar system. You get rocky and mineralized stuff on the inner solar system. That's just the way it is. It's called physics. Now this particular little guy right here, aptly named Daisy, was able to shadow Theia as it was breaking apart and scoop up some of these more rare primitive type achondrites that had been through part of a differentiation process in Theia itself, but not enough to completely destroy everything that would have been around to begin with. But it hadn't lived that long yet. And I'm pretty sure that I have a few pieces, one of which is online, that I'm selling really, really cheap. The cheapest you'd ever get a piece of that planet for, I guarantee you that. Because once everything is confirmed, oh, fellas, ladies, things are going up a great deal, like a lot. So, grab what you can now. It'll help the process along. It'll help this become a credited thing, and you'll have a really good investment. But it was able to scoop up all these pieces, and the reason why I say that we have some of the outer core mantle interface with Theia is because that's where diamonds are formed. That's where you have the 22 to 26 gigapascals of pressure and temperatures 400 plus C in most cases, with a planet roughly our size, which Theia was 85-ish% of the size of Earth. For one, there's 4 ways to make diamonds. One is through chemical dissolution within the pre-solar system nebulonic cloud. You get micro and nano-sized diamonds. They almost look like liquid floating out in space, according to theory. Now, that's the first way. The second way is through an impact, and we're talking the less than half a second point where in between the impactor and the Earth's surface you get a little bubble of pressure that goes up to 20 gigapascals of pressure at times, sometimes higher depending on the size of the impactor. But very short periods of time where that heat and that pressure is there to form these things. That's where you get your nano diamonds and your micro diamonds that you see in a lot of these meteorites and stuff. They have nano and micro diamonds in them. Even the tektites. But I've got pieces that have macro sized diamonds in them, and one of them is online. There's one other way besides below our feet, 1,800 miles or so, where we get those pressures and temperatures, and that's what forms our the easiest way to explain our diamonds are 2 pyramids that are connected at the butt, a tetrahedron, whatever you want to call it. But that's what our diamonds look like, and the reason why they look like that is the pressure and the heat that they're formed under. It's a very stable lattice. The other way is in our sun's lower atmosphere, right around sunspot edges and places of intense magnetic twisting, where these magnetic fields are strong enough and there's enough plasmatic material around there to where you can form these diamonds just through temperature and, well, bits of pressure. I mean, it is the sun. I mean, you're going to have unbelievable amounts of pressure even in the atmosphere, and they get blown off during flares and CMEs and things like that. and they just free float out with the solar winds until they get captured. If they do, if they don't, they just keep going. But that's what those are. All of them glow blue under UV light. They pass the scratch test and the hardness test. They are classified from our local jeweler as celestial diamonds, formed in a star. These diamonds were not formed within Theia. Those were not. And the only reason there was an Indian tribe here that worked this impact, because the amount that's here is really, it's just stupid. Oh, has some museum quality pieces. Check this out. I don't know if I can get it on an angle where, but basically it's a giant olivine, piece of olivine. And this one, this is the museum quality piece. I believe this one's lunar. Ain't that some beautiful stuff? But I'm pretty sure this is lunar. That's the one right there that's online. And you can even see one right down there on the side. They're celestial diamonds. The only other thing that they can be other than that, no, those are celestial diamonds by a jeweler. The ones that are in these, they're different. They're smaller. Let's see, here's another piece of it. You can see them all throughout in there. All those white dots, those are diamonds. And if you look at this, it looks like almost a piece of basalt. But a very primitive basalt. And there's fusion crust on this sucker right here. This whole top corner piece is fusion crust. Very interesting pieces. Yeah, you can see them. And those aren't chondrules. Those aren't minerals. They're gems. All the dots you see in there are actually gems. I've taken a couple of pieces of this to the local jeweler as well. You can see them in that piece too. This piece here is online. And so is this piece. And this piece has a detachable top. Okay. But it's on there. I've got that one going for pretty cheap right now too. And this piece is online. I call it shark fin because it kind of resembles a shark fin the way it sits. It'll sit on a desk just perfect. And then I got some real strange ones. These red ones. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. That's that red color is they're that color all the way through. All the way through the thing. And that I thought was a really neat piece. This one seems to, if this has been exposed to heat, it wasn't enough to really do much of any changing to it. It's almost like this piece is how it would have been up in space. Like this is an interior piece of Daisy that did not get heated up and is just a breakaway piece from the impact and thrown out away from the heat. I've got a couple of pieces like this, but only like 3. I know this kind of piece is going to be a sought after little puppy by everybody out there, simply because it's not been altered by heat. And I've got a couple others that like that one you see right back in there. I've only seen one other one like that, and it's in Robert Ward's collection. There was some bigger pieces of it, but it fell apart as I was trying to get it out of the hole. So, yeah. I tried to be as careful as I could, but I've got, I mean, I don't know. I can't count them all. I really can't. But this is where we're at so far with this. And that's a palisite. I'm fixing to put up some more palisite pieces. I've got some that are really, really interesting. Well, you see how that piece of Ovalene is almost marbled? Well, I've got one that is beautifully marbled. I mean, the marbling is unbelievable. And it's a flat piece of stone on the outside of this matrix. And it looks like it's a stain colored, like a dark stain, and yellow swirling together. It's a really, really interesting piece. I like palladites. They intrigue me. And on top of that, I'll be having a lot of artifacts that are from this Indian tribe that are going to be going up. A lot of pottery and stuff like that, and arrowhead effigies. I got a lot of these. So many of them that at first I didn't think that's what they were. I thought they just broke that way or whatever. But the more of them I found, and the more standardized relics that I found that were from Native American history. I mean, I've got spear points, arrowheads, pottery, tools, knives. I got all kinds of stuff. But this is where we're at right now. And I got this piece too. I thought it was real interesting. Like, it's got a crust on it. And it's orange inside. It's a crystalline structure. But it definitely has a crust. But yeah, this thing, there's a lot more to this place than people are giving it credit for. I've never in my life had anywhere that I've ever seen or heard about where I could literally take you 15 minutes down the road, get out of the car and look down, and you'll find one, more than one. Take a 5-gallon bucket with you. In 30 minutes in time, you can fill that 5-gallon bucket. And you won't pick up everything that you see. I only pick up about 30%, give or take, of what I see. And I'll fill up 2 5-gallon buckets and come home. And I can do that in half an hour. Especially after it rains. If we get a good rain and it cuts it even more, brings more out, yep. It's like a gold mine that replenishes itself every time it rains. But there's so much here. I'm way out of my league here. I'm trying to do the best I can, and I realize that the amount of money that's in these things and what people spend on them, and that there's a lot of people out there trying to do fraudulent stuff. Everything that I sell comes with a guarantee, and if somehow way or another I've gotten the classification wrong, I've only been doing this for like a year and a half now, so I've learned a lot. I know a pretty good bit, but no one's infallible. I mean, come on. The main thing is I can guarantee a level of customer service that you would expect. If there's something wrong with the order, or if it's not what it was represented to be, it will be rectified. Because I pretty much know what I've got as far as my groupings go, so I'll be able to get you straight. If I might have misclassed one just because the two families are real close together or something like that, that's my bad, and I will make it right. As things go, you know, once this thing hits mainstream, I already know it's going to be a comet. That's a given. At this point, it's a given. It's just too much in one spot. Way too much in one spot. I've got a double ring crater. Inner ring that I thought was the extent of the crater to begin with is about 6 miles across, maybe a little more. I was hunting on the western inner wall of the inner ring, and I got on Google Earth to map out where I had been finding everything, and I saw the inner ring where I was at. I was still zoomed in pretty close, and I was starting to map things out and everything, and the more I mapped things, you know, I was going outside that ring, which I knew I probably would. So I zoomed out and I started looking, and I was looking at a few things, and I started to see a pattern the more information I put in. A directional impact that came in from northeast, and when it struck, you know, it hit and blew its shit downfield. So I pretty much know where things are at this point, and I have an outer ring for this crater that is over 33 miles in diameter. I know, right? With over a 300 square mile area. Yeah, it's a bad day to be around here. I actually live inside the secondary ring right now. Just outside the inner ring, actually. About a quarter of a mile outside the inner ring. It's interesting to know that now, considering I've lived here for 30 years. So it's been a process, and I've learned a lot, especially the more that I see, the more that I have to work with, the more research I do, the more people I talk to. What I thought were links and patterns and things like that were connected in one way, they weren't. You know, I didn't have the I didn't have the school knowledge. I am not an astrogeologist. I'm not a geologist. I like rocks. I like gems. They're pretty. They sparkle. But I'm a quantum physicist and a computer electronics engineer. That's my belly wing. So this is a little outside of it, and it would have been fine if it would have been a normal meteorite with maybe a strewn field or something like that. You know, yay, cool, I found something neat. But the more I dug and the more I found, and the more confused I got, and the more I had to play with, and this should have been found by Carl Sagan or something like that. Because I mean, I'm doing the work of an entire team, a whole team, by myself, and it's not even my field of study. And I know y'all are thinking right now, this guy is in southern Alabama and he's a quantum physicist. Yes, I am. I'm not born and raised here, okay? But I'm actually from Daytona Beach. But all I know to say is I've got over a dozen subclasses, 0 iron, semi-magnetic stuff that has all the properties of primitive achondrites with a couple of chondrites which could have been picked up in the asteroid belt over the last 3.5 billion years, that this thing shadowed some I don't know what it did, how it did it, but somehow way or another this comet survived in the asteroid belt for 3.5+ billion years. Yeah, I know. Where's that unicorn? Santa? Santa? What are you doing? That's the way I feel right now. So any help would be awesome. I mean, just absolutely great. Even if it's just buying some of this stuff so I can get the money to actually get some professional help. Well, my ex-wife would love to hear me say that. So yeah. Any help would be great, even if it's just information or just pointing a finger. You know, follow the yellow brick road. Anything would be awesome. Just leave a comment if you like it. You like it, pretty cool. There'll be more to come, I imagine, a lot more. Y'all have a good day.